Hello everyone and welcome to the next session of Core Java. In this session, we will discuss about the control structure in Java, and in this session, we will discuss about the loops which are available in Java. So we will discuss about for, while and do while loop. Now, why do we need loop? In control structure, in the last session, we have discussed about the statements which can be used to decide or to control the flow of application programmatically, right? Now, based on certain conditions, if we need the repetition of execution of the code, then we can make use of loops. So the loops which we are going to see first is for loop. So let's check this out through the program. So this is the class which I have created. Now here, whenever I am printing this hello world, say for example, hello world is something which I want to print. Now for one system.out.println, what we are going to have is we are going to get the output printed once. So if I want to repeat this output, one approach is to rewrite that particular code so that this particular output is displayed for whatever number of times I want. But now what if I want to display these particular contents for whatever number of times which are not predicted, which are decided at runtime? So this approach is not going to help. One thing, it is not going to help because I don't know how many times it needs to be repeated. Second thing, how many times I am going to repeat what all statements. That is also not a good approach. So when a certain functionality or certain code you want to execute multiple times, you can write it in the loops. Obviously, loops will execute based on certain conditions, right? So let's now see what is the for loop. So to create for loop, we are going to make use of this keyword for. Then to specify a variable, which is a starting point. This is a local variable. It can have any name. So it is a counter whose value is initially 0. Counter less than 10. This is the condition which will get evaluated. So I'm checking what I want is I want to execute this particular statement 10 times. I'm starting from 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 10 times this particular hello world statement will be printed. And then I need to increment this particular counter. Now this counter is what I have specified over here as a name of the variable. This can be any variable name. Generally, whenever we are using this in Eclipse, it generally gives I, J, so any name can be utilized. This is a local variable, so access to counter is only within that particular block. So I will concatenate it over here as counter. So let's now execute this particular code and you will be able to see that this hello world is being printed and also the counter is getting printed. Let me do one thing. I'll just add one space over here to increase the readability of the code, re-execution, and yes, you can see that it has started counting from 0 and it is incremented by 1, right? And it is ended till 9. Why 9? because we have evaluated the condition as counter is less than 10. Now how this gets executed? So at the beginning, I have declared a variable and initialized it to 0. Then the condition is checked whether this counter value is less than whatever value I have specified. So right currently, it is checking whether 0 is less than 10. This result is true. So it will come here, execute this particular statement. After this execution, it will increment the counter. So now initially it was 0, it is incremented to 1. Again the condition is checked. Is 1 less than 10? Yes. So it will execute this particular statement. So it will keep on executing till counter value is reached to 10. Then it has again evaluated this particular condition. Now is 10 less than 10? Obviously no. So this loop is now exited and we are getting this particular output. This is how for loop works in Java. Next we are going to have a look at while loop. So this same thing can be implemented in while loop. So while, and here we need to specify the condition. Now which condition? For that I will have to have a variable which is declared in this particular main method. So int number equal to 0. So I'm initializing it to 0. Till what time? So this part I have done over here. What condition I want? Number less than 10. Then there is curly bracket and system.out.println say while loop. Okay, I'll change this to for loop so that we can distinguish the output, right? So now whenever I'm executing this particular code, you can see, oh, this is gone into infinite loop. Why this has gone into infinite loop over here? The reason is here in our code, right? What is that reason? Number is 0, number is less than 10, true. So this condition is always evaluated to true, right? So while loop is being executed until the condition results into true. So as this 0 is going to be less than 10 forever, this loop will continue forever, right? So this is how infinite loops can be created using while loop. So now what I don't want it to be continued till infinity, isn't it? So I will increment this particular number. So this part we have implemented here. So this explicit increment is required. So let's now check. You can see that now while loop is executed for definite values and not infinite values, isn't it? So this is while loop. Let's now see how can I execute a loop in reverse direction, right? So we are going to check this in both the loops. So for int counter equal to say 20, counter greater than 0. What I want starting point is 20, and then it should be decrement. Here I am printing for loop reverse, and we will add this counter to this particular statement. So I'm commenting this for time being. We will uncomment it later on. So whenever I'm executing this particular code, you will be able to see that we have executed this for loop into reverse order. Yes, and to include this 0 as well, we can have a condition as greater than equal to. So this equal to can be is also evaluated, and you can see that this 0 is also added in this output. Okay, so this is how for loop can be executed in the reverse direction. Now I'm giving you one assignment to try on your own, as try to execute while loop in reverse direction. So now this is for your hands-on practice. Now what is happening in this both the loops is, first the condition is evaluated, and loop execution or the statements which we have written inside this loop are getting executed only if the condition is evaluated to true. So if condition is evaluated to false, there is no execution of the statements. Now there is one more loop which is do while. So this is do. What I want to do is system.out.println do while loop, and while is going to evaluate certain condition. What condition? So I'm again copying this particular variable over here, number less than or equal to 10. Simple. So what it is going to do is, it is going to perform the action which is specified in do block, and then the condition is checked. Okay, so let's now see what is the output of this particular code. For that I will have to save, run as Java application, and you can see that it has gone into the infinite loop again. Why? Because here also we have not incremented this number. So incrementing this number is required to keep this loop in the finite way, right? Now you can try out various conditions. I cannot apply each and every condition over here. You can try that. So when I'm executing this, now it is getting executed for finite number. Yes. Now I am keeping this value as say 20. Now this condition is evaluated to false because number is not less than or equal to 10. So now when I'm executing this, you can see that this do while loop is executed only once, or this particular statement is executed only once. So how this application or this particular loop gets executed? Do this, right? So the beginning is without evaluating the condition. First execute this particular code and then evaluate the condition. Here in while loop, we were initially evaluating the condition and then executing the code. Here in do while, we can guarantee that the statements which are there in do block are getting executed minimum once, or they will get executed once. So how this do while gets executed? So do, this particular statement is executed, number is incremented, and then the condition is checked. If the condition is evaluated to true, then it will again execute this statement in the do block, or it will exit. So here I am putting it back to 0, executing this code. So you can see that now do while is executed 11 times because it is starting from 0. And we have the condition which is less than equal to 0. So 0 to 10. 0 is inclusive, 10th number count is also inclusive. So this is how loops work as for loop, while loop, and do while loop. There is one more version of for loop, but we are going to discuss about it along with the arrays and not in this particular session. Thank you.